Good evening. It's September 5, 2012. I'm Rene Ritchie, and tonight, Apple's September 12th event has been made official, the iPhone 5 has been made substantial, and the competition has been made to scramble. This is the iMore Show.
Hi everyone, I'm Georgia from iMore and Zen and Tech, and joining us tonight is the co-host of Iterate and the CIO of Nickelfish, Seth Clifford. Hey Seth.
Hello, Georgia.
Are you excited?
Sure.
I almost believed that too.
It was almost convincing.
And also is the editor-in-chief of iMore, Rene Ritchie.
Hi, Georgia. How are you doing?
I'm good. I heard you took over the internet.
I did not take over the internet. The internet's that's far too big a responsibility for me. I don't want any management positions, thank you.
Yes, well, we're going to have to talk about your magic number after. And, of course, let's say hello to the chat room. Hello, chat room.
Hey, chat room. Chat room's looking good tonight, man.
They are.
Chat
They're
room's
looking much handsomer.
Looking pretty thick.
than
We got a
YouTube.
lot of people in there.
Nice.
We
Hot.
do. Well,
Nice.
people I haven't seen in a while, too. I haven't seen Jade in a while. Hello, Jade. So, Rene, you're
Yes.
at like over 2 million.
2 million?
You are a machine.
Oh, yes. Okay, so Georgia's referring to some inside baseball stuff here. Sometime last week, I think around when the Samsung verdict came down, I made my 7,000th post on iMore, and somewhere in there was my 2 millionth word written for iMore.
Yes, we should have someone guesses the right word. They should get
I am not going to count to find out.
That's quite an achievement you got there.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
I wonder how many of those words began with the letter I. Or were boom.
Lots
Probably
of
few were
booms.
boom. I bet a lot of them were I.
Yeah, and we're
Like,
just
do
getting
you
started.
ever have a post that does not have iPhone, iPad, iMore in it?
I hope not. I'll be a miserable failure if I do.
Sure, someone will come up and let you know, Rene, the one post that does not have any of those things in it.
All right, we'll send you a t-shirt if you find it.
Ooh, that I like.
Nice.
Do I get to win, though?
Okay. So what do you got for us this week?
Well, let's go straight into it. It's why everyone is here. Apple announces the iPhone 5 event for September 12th.
You want to see the invitation?
I love the invitation.
Here you go. There it is. It's almost here. 12. Shadow Effect 5.
Now, does that mean that it is going to be called the iPhone 5? Have we now just...
I have heard every cockamamie theory imaginable has been tweeted in my general direction, that there will be 5 products, that it will be shipping on October 5, that it's the 5th year that they've been making iPhones. I even saw a bunch of people going, 5 alive. I mean, there is not a anthropomancy, a tea leaf, a form of divination that I've not been subjected to.
Tea leaf. So, Seth, do you think that means that's what the phone's going to be called? Did you read the tea leaves?
I think it's a pretty safe bet that that's probably where we're headed. Yeah. I mean, I threw down for just iPhone,
Right.
when we talked about it, but I personally, I don't care what it's called, but it looks like it's going to be iPhone 5.
Awesome. I get to win something then, don't
Horace Dedia had an interesting post about it where he said that Apple made the iPad. The iPad was the iPad 1 and the iPad 2, but it became the iPad 3 only because the iPad mini was coming out and it was becoming a product line, where the iPhone is still a singular device, so product numbers aren't at all a problem for them. So anything where there's just one of it, like the iPod or something, they can get away with numbers still, but
I think that the amount of accessories that are fit to them and that they will not fit with other products make the numbering so much more helpful. I still have to search for things for the iPad and, put in version 3 or try to figure it out, or it's the
you've got to put it in anyway.
iPad, but isn't the first iPad, it's the third iPad anyway, so it doesn't really make any sense. So hopefully they kind of figured this way around it. Like, I don't think this would have ever happened with Steve. That's all I'm saying.
You keep saying that. It's a very plain, very austere, very Spartan invitation. I mean, previous invitations we've seen, pictures of devices or Apple logos or splotches of colors. This is black on white with a little bit of gray, and it's really just a couple words, a couple numbers. Is that because Apple is just so sick and tired of us trying to figure out what color means what? Or, oh my God, there's no home button on the top of that iPad.
Rene, I think they were so scared of you figuring out anything else and leaking it that they're like, you know what, we're going to make this really simplistic.
Yeah, it didn't help. Jim Dalrymple posted an invitation right up on the internet for all to see.
I love the fact that one site posted it, spoke about the shadow of the 5, but in the actual picture, they didn't put the shadow.
Oh, nice.
Missing small details there.
Yeah, so it is September 12th. We were accurate. We predicted that on July 30th, and I'm always very nervous when we make those kinds of posts because you never know. I mean, even if it was true, Apple could change their plans, and then no one cares. It still look like a bit of an idiot. But September 12th, it is. What do you guys think? That's earlier than last year. It's later than previous years, but it's when Apple usually had their traditional iPod event.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that I don't have to wait an extra month for this. I mean, that means that with any luck, I will have a new phone in my hand by the time my kid arrives.
So you're excited about getting the phone before the kid?
Well, yeah, because I want the new phone. I want to get all settled in with it. I want to get a bigger, capacity than I usually get. I usually just get 16 because I stream everything. I don't really put a lot of stuff on my phone, but I'm going to get a beefy one so I can take lots of pictures and video.
Nice.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm really excited. I've been waiting, and I only got the iPhone 4S just recently.
Like a couple days ago.
Almost. But I'm really excited. I'm excited to see everything that's going to, be unveiled. Rene, you had the leaks for what the iPhone will look like. Can you go through it a little bit with us? How right were we?
Well, this isn't really the iPhone 5 parts started leaking really early on. I mean, iLounge had a drawing of what they thought it would look like, and back then that was one of the prototypes that we knew about, but there was more than one. There were at least 3 prototypes, and that was one of them. But we heard Apple wasn't going to make a decision until July-ish. And then 9 to 5 Mac got an actual backplate from one of those phones. It was the same as the drawings, and then more and more of these parts came out. And there was so many of them that either Apple was not very good at securing their supply chain. And when you're making tens of millions of units for distribution, that's easy to happen. I mean, there's just so many of them out there at that point. Or some people thought Apple was trying to do a big practical joke. They had $102 billion in the bank. They could make as many fake iPhones as they want just to, make bloggers look like idiots and maintain some big surprise for the show. But we learned that is actually what the iPhone looks like. Would you like to,
Yeah, please post it up.
Let's put up. Well, we did a couple of mock-ups. So this is what it looks like compared to the rest of Apple's product line. So there it is compared to the iPad mini and the existing iPhone. And here it is compared to some competing phones. You have the Galaxy S3 on the left, then the iPhone 4S, the Nokia Lumia 900, the BlackBerry dev device, the BlackBerry 10 dev device, then the new iPhone 5, and then the Galaxy Note, which is on the gigantic side all the way on the right. And we actually, two of our coworkers, Alex Doby and, Richard Devine were at IFA, I'm not going to try and pronounce it, some big German trade show, and they saw a dummy iPhone, and someone else was able to get video of it, and we've learned that this is actually an accurate representation of what the phone looks. So I'll just throw this up on the screen. I'll just skip ahead a little bit so you can see it outside the case. So this is pretty much it. This is what the next iPhone is going to look like. Almost identical to the iPhone 4S, a 4-inch 16:9 screen with much smaller top and bottom bezel. So it'll be the same width as the current iPhone, but it will be taller, but not as tall as the screen would otherwise indicate because they are much to Georgia's glee, taking off some of the bezel on the top.
I don't know how I feel about that.
See, how did you feel about the iPhone 4 design when Gizmodo leaked it? It's the same thing?
No. Well, all right. Yeah. So truthfully, yes. When I saw the iPhone 4 with the Gizmodo leak, I did not like it. I saw it and I was like, that looks like some clunky prototype thing that I'm not into at all. Because the 3GS and the 3G were rounded and, kind of smooth and whatever. But eventually I came around. I like the body as it exists now. I'm looking at the height of it and I feel like it's just so tall. But at the same time, I kind of liked the original Droid X when I held it. And that was a really weirdly tall phone for me at the time that it came out. So I got used to holding that. I guess I'll get used to holding this too. It's just, it's when you actually see it, you're like, whoa, that's really not what I'm used to.
For me, it's the aspect ratio also. It's just, I really enjoy the aspect ratio that I have with my iPhone. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be something to get used to.
Yeah,
I don't know. And again, I know I brought this up before, but especially with some people mentioning that the Galaxy S3 is outselling the iPhone. Again, a new phone's just going to be coming out. But I always think, it seems so small in comparison.
Well, I mean, the brand new Galaxy S3 is outselling the year-old iPhone, so I did not stop the presses. I did not stop the presses for that. But so Apple wanted to go for a bigger screen. They believe that some people are choosing a bigger screen phone over an iPhone, but these people would choose an iPhone with a bigger screen over a competitor. So they feel they can increase their addressable market by going to a bigger size. They don't want to make the phone much wider, or they don't make it harder to put in your pocket. They don't want to make it harder to use one-handed. So this way they keep the same width, and they add pixels to the top. And adding pixels just to the top, they could have gone bigger. They could have just made the screen itself bigger, but it would have lost density, and maybe they would have gone below Retina. I don't know if they care about that much, but it's a consideration. Or they could just add pixels to the top and bottom, which is fairly easy for developers to handle. Most things like UI table views and UI, what's the grid view called again, Seth? UI collect views, OpenGL, all of that will scale very easily. So this is it's the first time Apple's ever changed the size of their screen, like the physical size of the screen or the aspect ratio. And I think they wanted to do it in as small and low impact a way as possible.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did it again. Yes, I think that it makes it more economical. But I don't know. I don't know if that is enough. I think that they might have dropped the ball on that one. Ugh.
Well, but that happens. I mean, every year people look at the new iPhone and they say, oh, that's not a big change. And every year the event comes, people say, oh, it's unimaginative. Oh, it's, it's disappointing.
I don't know if I could say that about the jump from the 3S to the 4.
Well, that
was a huge change.
We've seen from the Project Purple stuff that was released during the Samsung Apple lawsuit that this is the phone that Apple's wanted to make since 2005, and they simply couldn't make it before 2010. And now they've made this design, it looks like they're sticking with it.
Isn't that the problem, though? They're making a design from 2005 in 2010.
Well, they couldn't make it earlier. That design, they were unable to achieve it. They tried the metal back, then they tried the plastic, and now right now they've replaced your glass back with a metal back. So it's not that they're making a design for 2005, it's that something they drew. It's like Arthur C. Clarke, he imagined satellites in books long before anyone could put one in orbit. But that doesn't mean that a satellite is boring just because someone in a book wrote about them years before. Apple's trying to get to that, what's it called? The platonic ideal of the phone that Jonathan Ive has imagined, with a giant screen, a flat, very well manufactured, sandwich-like body, and every year they're getting closer and closer to that ideal.
Well, I guess we will have to see. If people think it is.
Seth already answered, Georgia. What do you think? Is it a good-looking phone? Do you actually like the way it looks?
Do I actually like the way it looks? Yes, I think it looks... I would have liked it if it was I would like to have kept the aspect ratio, and I would have liked if it was actually wider. That is my feeling on it.
Even if your pixels were chunkier?
Again, Retina never really... I like Retina, but it was never my pull to the iPhone. I would rather if it had... if it was faster. I love the screen. I love that the camera's good. I wanted better speakers. I don't know. I don't think that it matters, and I do like the Galaxy. Don't send the hate mail to Seth. I do like the Galaxy S3. I think that the size of it, it's nice. Sorry,
don't send the hate mail to me. What?
No. Send it to Seth. That's what I was saying.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So Rene, you're happy with it. You think that this is the phone, that they need to develop.
So I had the same reaction that I had to the iPhone 4 when I first saw it. I was like, no way Apple's doing that. They're not going to go with a two-tone back. They're not going to make a 16:9 display. Well, what are people smoking? I mean, Apple makes all these prototypes. Doesn't mean they're going to turn into real devices. They like testing all these different things. Well, yeah, it's a real phone. And with the Gizmodo, and I shouldn't call it that, but with the iPhone 4 prototypes, I did not like the look either, but as time went on, I began to appreciate just how well it was made, how the glass and the stainless steel and everything came together into a really solid, really Braun or Leica-esque sort of a package. And I'm fine with this design. I think the bigger screen, like you, I would have preferred the same aspect ratio. I understand there's trade-offs. I mean, everything, like if you go bigger, you lose the retiness. If you just add pixels both ways, it becomes a nightmare for application compatibility. So this is definitely a compromise. And I want to try it. I mean, I'm not sold on it, but I really want to try it.
Yeah. Which phone, Rene, is your favorite just for feel?
I have not tried the new one, so not counting that one, the iPhone 4 and 4S are by far my favorite. Like the design is, you could put that design in a museum and it would look fine. It's just beautiful industrial design.
I think that you could put it inside of the museum, and Seth, you can completely disagree with me on this. I think that you could put it in the museum, but I like the feel of the Samsung, and I also like the feel for like just the roundedness of the 3GS. It feels really comfortable in my hand.
It feels plasticky and chunky to me now.
It is plasticky, which I don't appreciate. The same thing with the Galaxy. I like the fact that the iPhone feels solid, but I love the rounded, more ergonomic shape to a phone. Like a museum is great, but in the end, it goes in my hand.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. I mean, this feels to me like I could put a dent in someone's skull with it, and that's a ridiculous way to judge a phone, but that's the way I'm judging these phones. The Samsung phone, it's too big for me, and I like HTC plastics. I dislike I was going to call them Hasbro. I dislike Samsung plastics, because they feel like Hasbro. They feel like an old Transformers toy to me.
Okay, I get that. Seth?
I still have a soft spot in my heart for the 3G and 3GS. I feel like it felt the best in my hand, as much as I agree that it did not feel as well made as, the 4 and 4S. The 4 and 4S are just, the density of those devices is just all the way through the device, and it feels so good and meaty when you're holding it, but
as long as
that's the show name right there.
Yeah, meaty. Good and meaty. So good and meaty when you're holding it. But I still, when I pick up an older phone, I still like the curves of it. Like, I don't like that it feels thin in the back and a little bit imbalanced, but I like that curve. So if I could get a phone that had the density of the 4 and 4S, but had a really rigid back and like the weight evenly distributed, I would be in heaven.
What about the original iPhone, guys, with the aluminum back? Did we like that better or worse than the 3? I like that better than the 3G and the 3GS.
I liked the metal feeling, but I didn't like the shape of it. I felt like the shape is closer to this. Like the angles were not quite right. The curves.
Rene, would you mind going through can people expect from the iPhone 5?
Sure. So we did up a series of these things, and I did some of them, and we got some experts to do some of the other ones, but we talked about the display already, so I'll skip over that. The processor is interesting because every year for the last few years, Apple has introduced a new processor to the iPad line first. So the original iPad got the Apple A4, their first Apple in-house design system on a chip. And then the iPhone 4 got it. And then the iPad 2 got the Apple A5. And then the iPhone 4S got that. But then the iPad 3 did not get an Apple A6. Instead, Apple made an Apple A5 variant that had a quad-core GPU and called it the Apple A5X. And that was mostly to drive that massive 2048 by 1536 Retina display. And the iPhone got Retina 2 years ago. It doesn't need anything special. It already handles Retina. So I don't think we'll get anything like the big, beefy, oversized, overhot A5X in the iPhone. I don't know if we'll get an A6, but it could be a minor tweak. They could just make the existing processor a little faster, the existing GPU a little faster. There is a new generation Cortex A15 on the market. There is a new generation PowerVR Rogue processor on the market, but they might be too new, too bleeding edge, and Apple's usually fairly conservative with their processors. So I think we'll just get a little bit faster. We'll get a gig of RAM, I'm hoping. And I also don't think we'll go to 128 gigabytes yet, because Apple usually goes every 2 years. We had 16 gigabytes on the first two iPhones, 32 gigabytes on the last two. We had 64 gigabytes on the last one. And I think we'll stick with that now. It's my internals predictions.
Yeah.
Do you guys care about 128, or is 64 and iCloud enough for you? And Dropbox?
I think 64 is probably enough. I mean, I'm not even close to filling my phone now because I stream so much stuff. And like I said earlier, the only thing I'm thinking of is like photos and video. But I mean, 128 is absurd. That's like, that you couldn't even get an SSD in a laptop that big a few years ago.
That's ditch the iPod Classic big.
Yeah, seriously.
I take copious amounts of video, lots and lots of photos and lots of video. And I've maxed out my 16. So but 128, I don't know. Like that would be, full-length movies I'd be putting on my iPhone. I think that I would be just fine with 32.
Yeah, I'm at 64 and I've gotten nowhere near filling it. And I take a lot of video and pictures as well. Although games and stuff are always getting bigger, the stuff we're putting on, but iCloud has taken a lot of that away. I just keep stuff, because there's this thing, there's online, offline, and nearline. So online is on your phone, offline is on your computer library, nearline is in iCloud, where you can get it just when you need it. And I think that makes the best sense for most people. Now with the Apple TV, I buy all these TV shows, I don't even download them on my computer, I just go to the Apple TV and stream them, and they're there when I want them, they're on demand, and to me that's the future, not a ton of local storage.
And I think with most people with iCloud, they don't have to really worry about it. I don't like iCloud. Again, my crazy ways. But I think for most people, if you're going to stream all of your photos, it'll keep your phone pretty clean.
Let me call you on that for a sec. Do you enjoy buying your songs more than once?
No. You know what? I actually, for music, I do like iCloud.
And apps and games?
Well, no, because you don't have
buy
to
them
repay
again.
for them.
No, but you still re-download them from iCloud. You don't have to go back to your computer and sync them over. You can download them again for free from iCloud anytime you want. If I get rid of a game, I just get rid of a game. I'm not going to probably re-download it until it comes for like an update. So yes, Field Runners, I got again because it was Field Runners. So parts of iCloud you appreciate.
So yeah, but I don't want to have, personal information on
No,
that.
but if your movies were there just like your music, I don't think you'd be upset.
I'd rather not.
Okay.
That's my own feeling about it. And yes, it is slightly unusual, but I don't know. I think anonymity is kind of nice as well.
They already know you because you have your music there.
I know. Plus, I'm doing this, so it's ridiculous in every single way.
Brad is saying, "Shut up, 128." He wants us to stop talking like there won't be that. So fair enough.
Okay. Well, since people are wanting to say exactly what weight they want, we decided to go for our iPhone 5 Dream Device giveaway. So this was an easy, interesting contest, which all you have to do is show us or tell us what would be your dream iPhone 5, and you could have a chance to win. Rene?
There's 3 prizes. The grand prize is $500 US Apple Store gift certificate to put towards the purchase of an iPhone 5 or any Apple gear you want, really. And there's runner-up prizes because we feel like there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff. And also there's going to be different judges, like Georgia and I are going to be judging, Crackberry Kevin, Phil Nickinson, Leanne. I mean, people have different tastes. So in case we disagree, we want some leeway. So there'll also be 2 runner-up prizes for $100 US Apple Store gift certificates. And this is for people who look at the iPhone 5 and aren't happy with it. Like maybe Georgia wants the same aspect ratio. Maybe Leanna wants a giant honking PureView camera. I mean, people have different tastes. Maybe Kevin wants a physical keyboard. He's not going to get it, but maybe he wants it.
Or a really expensive phone that goes on your wrist.
$2,000 wrist iPhone. So you design it. I mean, do it in your 3D program. Do it in Photoshop. Make a fake Apple web page. Make a fake Apple video introducing the phone.
Make it out of Lego.
Awesome. Anything awesome. you just follow the link. We'll put it in the we'll put it in the show notes. We'll put it in the chat room, and enter. And we'll pick a winner. We'll announce it on the show right before the iPhone launch.
And it does not actually have to be refined looking. You can draw it on paper. You can talk it out. You could sing it as a poem. That's fine. You could have your 3-year-old draw it and then take a photo with your iPhone and put it up. It's not actually something that has to look svelte. It's just something kind of fun, something interesting. Be creative.
Tattoo it on your stomach, whatever you want.
No, please don't. We've already been through someone tattooing, the site on their stomach. No tattooing, please, unless it's fake.
Killjoy.
Tattoo it on your, iMore.com on your forehead.
No, none of that now.
Oh, yes. Javier's already saying that that's what he's going to do.
Okay, cool.
Seth, there is a rumor. A rumor that might make me either really happy or absolutely exactly the same.
Wait, a rumor? You're kidding.
I love the shocked look, Seth.
We've got rumors!
Go ahead. I'm ready.
I don't know if Rene, if you can cue the video, but there might be a replacement for my hated earbuds.
Really?
I hate those earbuds. I cannot stand the iPhone earbuds. They hurt my little ears. My poor, delicate ears are so ruined by the Apple
The video's
earbuds.
been taken down. Someone must have...
Oh, no. I haven't.
that's
Oh, no,
sad.
I don't. I'm so sad. Well, they are slightly more ergonomically shaped. They look strange, but I think that they might be more comfortable, though. Rene, do you think that they're actually smaller in physical size?
They looked almost... I forget who said it. Someone said they look like 2 little horses' heads.
Yes, they do look a little bit... They go in... They might be slightly more intrusive. J-Baby has mentioned that they look like the Boise earbuds. But they look different. Which is... Like, Rene, does this maybe, by the way, give me a hint that they might even be working on... If they're going to work on the earbuds for the new iPhone... Maybe the speakers are going to be better, too.
Oh, well, I don't know. They have giant grill marks where the speakers are now, so you never know. But anything that you want, they typically don't do.
That hurt me.
No, I'm not saying
Felt
that's
a slight
mean.
pain when you said that.
Here, there's a picture. Mac Stories has a picture of them up. Put that up briefly. You can see them. What do you think?
They look more comfortable. I'll be honest, it's very hard to find earbuds. I like using the headphones better. They're more comfortable for me. But to find comfortable earbuds would be amazing. Something that would fit into your ears wouldn't fall out, or just after a while of using the Apple earbuds, I find that my ears...
I just can't use them.
Well, it just, I ache and then they pop out.
Yeah, mine pop out continuously. They're not useful to me.
And the ones that fit around your ears... They still just don't work properly. And then I lose all the little squishy things on the sides of the little earbuds that have the little...
Oh, the in-ear earbuds.
Yeah, are those the squishy things, or that's the technical term, right?
Yeah,
There are
squishy
words
things.
for that? The little
Mushy things.
mushy things. Seth, you're supposed to know, right?
I still actually have the little foam discs that they used to give you with the old iPod earbuds.
Back when Apple was flush with money and could afford such extravagance.
Yeah, and I still have a couple of those that I kind of rotate because the plain white ones, they hurt so bad when they're in your ears for so long. But if you put the little foam on, it actually feels pretty good.
I use the Apple
and you
in-ear
actually
ones.
still have... How you are so organized, you don't lose those.
Well, I have like one set that I don't use that often that still have them. Then I think I have one set of those little foam covers, like just in a bag sealed in my Apple extra crap drawer.
What do you use when you walk, Seth?
I have Bluetooth, a Motorola Bluetooth headphones that I pair with because I hate having a wire
So
dangling.
you look
when I'm
like
walking.
Lando Calrissian's assistant, but with the band on the back.
Yes, I look like Lobot.
Lobot, that's right. Thank you.
Bespin attendant, Lobot, and I walk around my neighborhood and people wave and they say, "Hey, there's that guy that helps run Cloud City."
Hey, Lobot. Yeah.
So
what do you
would
use,
I look
Georgia?
just retro goodness using the
The
true...
cans.
Yeah, these are the most comfortable for me. I really
But can you jog in those?
I don't jog.
Okay.
So yes, I can.
Okay. I have
No, it
Apple
would
in.
not be comfortable for jogging at all. So what I have is I have a few earbuds. I have some of these skull candies, which I find are relatively, yes, Ryan also uses the skull candy, which are relatively comfortable, and pink, which are cute. But I'm not much, yeah.
I have a pair of Apple in-ear earphones, and I also have a pair of Ultimate ears. And the only thing I like about those better is that they clip onto your shirt, so there's not as much gravity pulling them out of your ear all the time.
Right, which is nice. You don't have to worry about getting caught and
Yes.
and falling out. Rene, we were talking before about the miniature dock and about, adapters and
Yep.
cost and the expense and how much I had to pay just to have the,
You never sync your phone. You got to pay nothing. You don't care about a dock connector.
no, actually at night
Okay.
I do actually plug my phone in.
Well, you'll get a cable with your new phone. You won't have to worry about that. It's just for your old stuff.
Right.
Well, this is iLounge is saying that they've heard from one of their sources, and they've usually got pretty good sources, that Apple's going to sell a dock connector adapter for $10, or a packet of 3 for $29, or the basic dock cable, the USB to dock connector cable, will be $19 each. But they're also saying that maybe Apple will be the only one selling them for a while, and it will be hugely profitable for Apple to the amount of $100 million or so.
Wow. And will it connect, do you think, like magnetically, such as with the, the laptops?
I think that'd be awesomely cool, but that also means that, anything that awesomely cool probably won't happen.
Why would that be? Apple does a lot of awesomely cool stuff. It's just not the stuff that we ask for, Rene.
Well, I don't know what Apple hasn't made any connector except for the power cable magnetic. And I don't know if that's because
the iPad has a magnetic connector so that it can work on the...
It has magnets for the smart cover, but it doesn't have any... Apple's cables are only the MagSafe is magnetic. And I don't know if that's because the MagSafe is power only. Apple has never made a data connection that is magnetic. And I don't know if that is because it has problems or if it's because they choose not to. But I'm gonna go in there not expecting one and be pleasantly surprised if I get it.
It would take up more space no matter what, right, Seth? If they were going to be, or could they just make the, outer edge? Like, would they do it just for saving space in and of itself?
Yeah, I don't honestly know. I was kind of thinking it would be awesome to have a magnetic dock that did not even have like a picture of the iPhone 4S dock that exists now, but instead of the dock connector that sticks up that you have to kind of align, you basically just drop the phone in and it clicks, kind of like your MagSafe connector does, and it transmits that way. Like, that would be fantastic.
Like inductive charging?
Yeah, kind of like that. But
like that Fat Boy pillow Nokia showed off today?
But faster than how fast it goes if you are not actually hardwired in. Because that's the one thing about having it be, what you said, Rene.
Inductive charging.
Yeah, is that it's slower.
Well, it's got to microwave your phone. I mean, it takes a while.
Yeah. I'm sure that they have all of that stuff in the lab, and they're just like, you know what? This is not fully baked. We're not doing it.
If you guys didn't see it, Nokia had a press conference right after the iPhone 5 event day got leaked. Apple's competitors raced to make events earlier, even though it looks like none of their stuff was actually ready, and Nokia was one of them. And they had some really cool stuff, like they have a fantastic camera. But one of the other cool things is they have inductive charging, and they're making accessories like a little pillow you can put next to the sofa to charge your phone with.
That
is
going
to be in restaurants, and it's going to be in airplane lounges, and and it's using a standard, the Qi standard, which is not, it's not common yet, but it's it's for inductive charging, it's common. And it would be, I don't know if Apple's, adverse to that, but it would be nice to see something like that even as an option on the iPhone.
My iPhone pillow.
Yes, the Fat Boy, which I agree with John Fingus. It's a fantastic name.
It would be just like iFat, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a brand. I mean, they're making those pillows for Nokia, and I'm sure they're gonna make a bunch of other stuff too.
Would be cute if nothing else.
Yeah, they made a little fun of Apple too. They said, we can make antennas without needless bits of metal being exposed. Nice.
No, they might as well go at them.
Yep. And they fed everybody jelly beans.
What did they say about the antenna?
They said that they didn't have to compromise the antenna with needless bits of steel sticking out or metal sticking out.
Oh, that's good. And I guess Apple doesn't have to compromise their bottom line by selling a bazillion phones.
Well, no, the amusing thing was that the Nokia 9, I mean, Nokia made a lot of fun of Apple, calling it a beta phone, and then they put out their phone with nothing but problems. So if I was them, I think it would behoove them to talk less and deliver more at this point.
Yeah.
Was it seriously. Nokia that did the those creepy ads?
Yes. Smartphone beta test.
Those were creepy ads.
And they were so busy making them, they forgot to beta test their own phone.
It's the same thing, though, that we said when that whole thing came out. It's like, listen, you want to have the best phone? Beat it on every other thing that you can do better. Don't talk about how bad other phones are. Like that is just, it's silly. And like in the case of the Nokia stuff, it blows up in your face occasionally.
So here's the thing.
I think there's nothing wrong with going at and having an all-out brawl. You just have to make sure that you have product to back it up. In the end, people are going to be wanting to use your product. And then they're like, okay, well, if Apple's a beta, what is this?
And the thing that, they have a fantastic looking camera. They put the entire camera lens float, so it has massive image stabilization and a huge sensor, so they can keep it open for a long time. And the pictures they showed off were fantastic. They made a commercial to show it off, and then The Verge caught them using, not using that camera to make the video showing off that camera, which is, again, it's just silly. And there's a couple of things like that. Like, I just wish they would stay quiet. And also, like, they showed off one of the rumor was they were going to show off more of Windows Phone 8. We didn't get that. Instead, they showed off how to take a screenshot by holding the power and home button down. Don't talk, put out a fantastic phone, kill Apple in the marketplace. There's no reason to rush. I think they rushed to be in front of the iPhone. Bless you. Because now when the iPhone gets released, they can be in the B-roll. They can say, Amazon or Nokia or Motorola have previously announced blah, blah, blah. And they get 2 seconds of airtime after a 5-minute Apple story. But I think it would have been much better for them to wait and have a killer announcement showing off their final product with all, the polish, the pomp, the circumstance, and kind of overshadowed Apple. I think that would have been good.
That would have been good, but this is what we got.
George, are you back? Someone talked to you about iPods.
I am so excited. They've had, we discussed the difference between, but I love, the iPods are so cute. They make the most adorable designs for the iPods. Rene, are we going to see something even cuter or minutely small? Am I going to get my Nano phone? Watch.
See, I don't know. When we originally heard about the September 12th event, we heard that everything was going to be there. The iPad mini, the new iPods, and now it sounds like the iPad mini is being saved for October. So I don't know if there's going to be iPods at this event or not. 9 to 5 Mac heard there will be, and that there'll be at least 2 lines updated. iMore did hear that there's a new iPod Touch, that it has the same screen size and ratio as the new iPhone. So 4-inch, 16:9. I don't know if it'll be as good, because for previous years, for example, they've had a non-IPS panel in the iPod, so it could be cheaper than the iPhone's interplane switching panel. But that's mostly what I've heard, that the iPod Touch is still here, it's still around, it's going to get updated. The Nano and the Shuffle sound like the other ones. There's been rumors that the iPod Nano will get a home button and maybe more iOS-like. There hasn't been much rumors about the Shuffle yet. I don't know what else you could do with it.
Which is good, because the Nano, trying to navigate with the Nano of having to press the center bbutton it's annoying. It's not a very seamless experience, I have to say, in comparison to, having a nice little home button.
Well, it looks like iOS, but it's not iOS. It's like a hybrid interface layer over the old, I forget what it's called. There's a Pixa something, Linux system that runs iPods. So it's not the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I forget what that is, but yeah.
It's not good.
I didn't enjoy it. It was very confusing.
But there is another rumor that the iPods will be getting some sort of Bluetooth inter-device communication. I don't know if it'll be Wi-Fi direct or actually Bluetooth 4.0. So conceivably, all your iOS devices could talk directly to each other. The big dream here, of course, is Georgia's, where she has her iPod Nano on her watch, and all her notifications appear there, all her text messages. She can talk to her watch, and it'll send messages for Siri on her iPhone.
I would love that.
I don't know if we'll get there yet, but I want to get there one day.
I'll tell you what.
The thing is size. Like, we would have to end up having, mic and... anyways, I don't know. Again, because I'd want to be able to talk to Siri through my watch. That would be the be-all and end-all. And ask it, Siri, what time is it? It's 12:05, Georgia. Time to go to bed. Anyways, I think that would be very cool.
I'm with you, Georgia. I've been using the Nano that I bought when I go for walks. And it's cool, but I had to buy a little Bluetooth adapter to snap into it to use with the headphones that I like. And I'd much rather have Bluetooth built in. But most of all, I'd much rather have a device that is so much smarter that all right, so this is completely fantastic, but I would love to be able to just say when I'm going out, send all my calls to the Nano. Even though it's there's no cell radio in it. That would be great to just take that out and just have it be almost the equivalent of a flip phone. It's not going to do everything the iPhone does, but it'll take calls, and that's pretty much all I need.
Call to Enterprise, full to beam up.
Would there, though, Rene, be enough space to fit that all into the size of, say, what the Nano is now?
So they're not talking about, if you start thinking it through, they're not talking about putting everything into the Nano. They're just talking about making the Nano a gateway. So you already have headphones that have a mic. Those are easy to plug in. So that means all that comes out of the Nano, goes into the headphone assembly. They use that as an FM radio antenna as well. So that does a lot of work for you. You plug that in, you press the button, you talk to Siri the same way you'd use it with a headset with the Nano. You'd also have Bluetooth, the new low power Bluetooth, so it wouldn't be a horrendous drain, and it would just pop up notifications. I think you could probably fit what you need to fit in a package of very similar size, but it wouldn't be doing it on its own. It would be merely acting as a conduit.
And it would do this through, again, it would have to be through data, Wi-Fi.
Bluetooth 4.0, low power Bluetooth. So it would just basically it would be almost like its own little Wi-Fi network broadcasting to your iPhone's
Which wouldn't
Wi-Fi
take up
network.
much space.
Well, it's not space. It's just a part of the chipset. It doesn't need to do much. There's no cell antenna. There's no.
No, but it isn't in it right now. So.
No, that is true. But the chips are getting smaller every year, and if they make it big enough to fit a home button, then suddenly you have a whole. Remember the old iPod Nano had a whole bottom section they got rid of.
Right. Though the home button doesn't have to be a circular home button. They could keep it and have a little button on the top or on one of the sides.
Oh, it's so iconic. If you're going to go with the home button, you got to go with the home button. It's like, the little black dress when it's not black.
I don't know. I think that would change the Nano size. I think people love it having a square, having it a full 1-to-1 aspect ratio makes it really beautiful lovers. For a watch.
Watch lovers like it.
A little button on the side, I'm all good to go.
Yeah, I think it's still doable. I think, it might not be exactly the same package, but I think that they could give it at least that base level of functionality.
I think that it would work.
Let's do it. We've decided.
We have.
So say we all.
So Rene, what could we get for iOS 6?
That's interesting. We put up, let me just go to it. We put up our,
your massive preview.
Yeah, so we basically went through everything that has been announced so far. Most of iOS 6 is still under NDA, under a non-disclosure agreement with developers. So you can't really talk too much about it, but we still put up basically everything that we want to see. And I'll go through it and put it up on the screen for you. Give me 1 second. But Apple actually showed off, when I went back and went through it frame by frame, when I zapprudered it, Apple had shown off more than I recalled them showing off. So I'll just go through it really quickly. You have all the new maps stuff. So we're going to be getting turn-by-turn navigation, the flyover technology. Siri's going to answer sports questions, movie questions, make restaurant reservations for you, post to Facebook and Twitter, launch apps. It's going to be on the iPad. You're going to have...
Which we were really wanting was the launching of apps, so that's great.
Yes. It won't actually, like you could say launch settings and it'll launch the settings app, but you can't say launch Wi-Fi switch Wi-Fi off or go in airplane
brightness
mode.
100%.
Yeah, no. So you can get to the settings app quickly, but you can't change them.
Though there is a jailbreak for that. Sorry.
iCloud shared photo streams, another thing Georgia's going to hate, but you can now, if you take a photo and you quickly want to share it with somebody, you can just add their iCloud ID to your thing. They get the photo, they can comment on it. So, I mean, it's nice for the grandparents, it's nice for family who aren't close by. I would never share it with, strangers, but for friends and family, it's convenient. Passbook's going to be one of the big things. Apple's shown that off now. And basically you have all your coupons, your tickets, your movie passes, your gift cards, all right in your iPhone. And I'm going to actually click through into this because it's worth looking at if we have a second still. And I'll go quickly. But basically now you have all these apps and soon you'll just have Passbook. And you'll be able to have like your tickets. You'll have multiple tickets. You'll be able to keep track of your balance on your Starbucks card or your Apple card. You'll be able to like go into the movie theater and just have your ticket on your phone. If your gate updates for your plane, they can send a push notification to update it. And it's just a JSON packet. So you can get it in an email, on a website, from an app. You can flip it around, adjust the settings. There's a cute little shredder animation when you want to destroy one. And when they know where you are and when you are. So whenever something comes due or you're in the right location, it just pops it up. And it's really cool. I'm happy with what they did there. Oh, and Do Not Disturb, Georgia. This is going to be epic. Can I show you this too?
I like the Do Not Disturb, yes.
It's the last thing I'll show everyone tonight. But Do Not Disturb, because notification, we've talked about this on Zen and Tech. When you get too much notification, it becomes interruption. So what Apple's doing now is when you get a phone call, just like the little camera button, there's a phone button and you can push it up to reveal more options. And one of those is like the old, when Bill Gates showed off the first Windows Mobile Trio, he showed something similar. You can just quickly hit a button and instantly reply with a text message to tell them you're busy or you'll call them back. Or you can have a reminder, like call me in an hour, remind me when I leave this place, remind me when I get home. And more than that, you can go into Do Not Disturb mode. So you can say, I sleep between 10 and 6. Do not have any notifications during that time. But if someone's on my favorite list and they call, let that through. Or if it's an emergency and they call more than 2 times, let that through. And that, to me, it's not perfect. It's not like profiles. It's not like a bedside mode, but it's a big improvement.
I will say this.
Yeah.
You'll say this about that?
I will say this. I finally had the time to install the beta over the weekend, and all of this stuff is adding up to a very awesome, different experience. Do Not Disturb, the new maps, like all the little things that everybody's like, oh, big whoop, that's not big. They're all really nice improvements. They really are. It's really going to be cool, especially on new hardware.
Are you going to update, Georgia? Well, you'll get the new phone. You'll have the new system on it.
I won't have a choice now, will I?
Yeah. Convenient.
So, short answer, yes.
You're going to set Do Not Disturb from 7 in the morning till 7 in the morning?
Well, I don't ever have my phone on. Ever. It doesn't beep. The only thing that goes are alarms. There's nothing else that is ever on my phone, which I started with just because of my work. I couldn't be disturbed for that. But I love it. Even during the weekends, I will not turn it on unless there's something exceptionally important as a phone call.
Nice. What else we got? We have, what do we have next? I got lost. I apologize.
Sorry, Rene, you want to go through the App Store?
Can we go to the 12 million iOS device? That sounds more fun.
Sure, let's do that.
Hit it.
Okay, well, here we go. Rumors have it, as they always do, that, 12 million iOS unique device identifiers, your UDID, have been reportedly hacked from a FBI laptop.
Yeah, by Antisect, which is a part, I don't know if they're part of Anonymous or they're aligned with Anonymous. I'm not sure what the affiliations are, but they claim they got these off a FBI laptop using a Java vulnerability, which has been publicized a lot lately. But both the FBI and Apple have issued denials. Apple said, and I quote, this is from Natalie Karras to All Things D, the The FBI has not requested this information from Apple, nor have we provided it to the FBI or any organization. Additionally, with iOS 6, we introduced a new set of APIs meant to replace the use of UDID and will soon be banning the use of UDIDs. So what she's saying there is with iOS 6, developers can no longer use UDIDs to identify us. Previously, they do that. For example, if you had push notifications on more than one device, they would kind of use your UDIDs to keep track of which device you got them on and try to do things with them. Like make sure if you already got one on one device, you wouldn't be bothered with it again on another device. But that also meant they had a lot of information about you. So Apple is stopping that now. The FBI said the FBI is aware of published reports alleging that an FBI laptop was compromised and private data regarding Apple UDIDs was exposed. At this time, there is no evidence indicating that the FBI laptop was compromised. The FBI either sought or obtained this data. And it's unusual that the FBI will actually even comment on this kind of stuff. But they're basically saying no. And Antisect has said, also, before you deny too much, remember we're sitting on 3 terabytes of additional data. We have not even started. So we don't know.
It's so hard. Again, there's no way to know, no matter what terabytes of data. The fact that the FBI even spoke out on this, if this was, and I'm just going to talk about this from a psychological perspective, if this was just a random, someone saying I hacked this, but it isn't true, why would the FBI ever answer at all?
And it's important to point out for people because some people were asking, are there passwords? There's no indication that anyone's passwords or iTunes accounts or iCloud's accounts were compromised. It's personal data, so it's privacy. It's a privacy issue, not a security issue at this point.
And your UDID is the actual your phone's own, say, serial number onto the phone.
It's how Apple identifies your phone. For example, if you're a developer, it's what lets you register that with Apple, and you can put iOS like betas on your phone. You register it with developers, and they can send you betas of their application or ad hoc, versions of their applications.
Exactly. So whenever you download something, that's how your phone will, Apple or anyone could know that that's your phone that's doing a download to this. It doesn't mean that they have other information such as what you're doing with that, except for what's there, or have like a key lock or key passes. Really, what can people do with your UDID? And
they said they had other information, and they took out some of it, like people's names, device names, Apple push notification certificates. So it's a privacy concern at this point. And they claim they have 12 million of them, which is
the privacy concern and why it even comes out there is that why would the FBI have this information? And the first thing, if they were not tracking people, why would
anybody?
Care?
I mean, why would anyone compile a list of 12 million UDIDs for someone to steal? And the point is, of course, like any unique identifier, if you have someone's mobile phone number or their device ID, you can start, if you have a sufficiently large data pool, you can start running analytics and figuring out patterns about them and behavioral patterns about them. So it's not the kind of stuff, it's not a huge concern for most people, but it's still not the kind of stuff I want people just randomly collecting for no reason.
Now, what laptop, one folder held 12 million of the UDID, the username, the name of the device, the type of device, one folder had all of this information? Is it very small? It seems like
it's just text data. It could probably be compressed down to next to oblivion. But why anyone would have it in a place that could be... they've only put out 1 million of it. Some people say, I believe Mac Rumors tested it out and they found some legitimate information there. Other people haven't found anything, but they only put out a small sampling of the data they took, so it's impossible to draw any conclusions yet.
Right. If it happens to be one of yours, be worried.
Well, don't be worried, but
I'm just stirring the pot. They're really, unless you're doing something completely nefarious.
Yeah, there's no evidence that anyone should panic and, duck and cover yet.
But what it does say is that this would, again, the FBI should not, the legality.
Whoever had them should not have had them.
Exactly. They had to go through they should be asking. It is, how they spoke about going into someone else's phone is like going into someone else's house or going into someone else's car. It's your private space. There is a expected state of privacy with things that you share on your phone in a private setting. So say that you post something on Facebook and it's on your private page. Well, you don't have any expectation of privacy for that.
Well, it's just
you send
again,
a
I
private
just want
PM, you should.
I just want to go back to the point that there's no one who should have this information. So like whoever they got it from.
Apple does.
Well, no, not Apple, but I mean, if there's no developer, there's no one outside of Apple who in my opinion, has a legitimate reason for keeping all this data, much less in a place that's accessible.
But don't developers, if they're going through a beta, have to?
No one needs this many. The developers are limited to 100 UDIDs. I mean, there's no this should not exist. In my opinion, my paranoid personal rights espousing opinion.
Right. And the fact that they're having them tracked with names, it's not just a random number of random UDIDs, which you could say, well, they're just a random bunch of numbers. They're not actually attached to anyone. But that they're attached to other people is really why, they should be called on it.
Seth, any parting words?
No, you pretty much covered it. It's just weird that there were this many in one place. So I pretty much agree with what you said.
Okay. Georgia, anything else for us?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited for the 12th.
I got one more thing for you.
Right. Yay!
I got one more thing for you.
Do you?
Yeah. You ready?
Drum roll.
What do you think? A new Angry Birds games, but this time for the pigs.
I think that the pigs deserve some. They've taken a lot of hits, and it might be the birds may be the perpetrators.
It's Revenge of the Sith for the pigs.
Yeah, I think I was always on the pig side.
Seth?
I'm done with Angry Birds.
I don't actually play Angry Birds.
When the damn birds went into space, you had enough of them?
Yeah, I beat the original game, and I was like, that's it. I'm good. I never need to play this again.
Yeah, I did not. I played a little bit of the first Angry Birds. I played the first Cut the Rope. Field Runners, of course, is my penchant right now.
Field Runners 2?
I love Field Runners 2.
Nice. I think that's it for us. Georgia, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on the website at www.imore.com and, of course, on Twitter, though I'm not there that often.
Oh, sorry. The chat room is yelling at me. I totally forgot the Q&A.
Ah.
I apologize. Chat room, if you have any questions, start putting them in there. I'm going to pull up the questions that we had from... All right. George. Let me get us all here. We'll do these quickly. We'll blow through these. George, 199615. With the leaked battery for iPhone 5, would that be enough? Enough for what? To maintain the 10 hours that Apple has had on the previous iPhones? It's hard to say because we'd have to hear all about the battery chemistry and what they're doing with it. And the software has there's so many things that have to go into a battery that a leaked part is not sufficient. At least that's my opinion. Seth, following the 4S launch, if the iPhone 5 announcement is on a Wednesday like iOS 6, will iOS 6 be available that Friday like iOS 5 was? Which I think is not true, actually.
No, I would think that we'll probably see the GM at the announcement, and then probably maybe a week later, in advance of the hardware hitting, would be the release. Isn't that how it kind of rolled out last year?
Yep. It's like usually the Wednesday before the Friday release.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do the same thing.
Georgia from iDonev. If the competition can ship their products before Apple's announcement, what good does it do? If the competition can't ship their products before Apple's announcement, what good does it do to rush their keynotes, which we kind of spoke about already?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I don't think that it's going to make that much of a difference. We've waited a year. There've been a whole bunch of announcements before that anyways. Does it make any difference? We'll still be picking up for our iPhones. The only people that we really have to feel bad for are T-Mobile.
Very true. Very, very rough, but very true. Seth, Dan Tiva, should Apple be concerned by the 1.3 million activations a day for Android?
No.
Nice. Initial R2. Georgia, how do you feel about the two-tone backing on the new iPhone?
I do not like it as much as a single clean backing.
Ryan A94, do you think the iPhone 5 will stay at the same price point, or can we expect a price increase? Apple has never increased the price of a new iPhone. They've created additional SKUs with more storage at higher prices, but I think they'll maintain the $199. I don't think they can afford not to. Seth Zvikal wants to know, what are the chances of Apple incorporating authentic biometrics into the new iPhone?
0. Next question.
Georgia, what hardware?
Next question. No, just joking. Sorry.
What's going to be the biggest wow factor for you for the next iPhone? What's the most important change they've made?
It'll be the difference in size.
Nice. Jerry G. Les wants to know, will we be able to watch September 12th keynote live, or will you do live coverage? We will be doing a live version of the iMore show, like we usually do. Apple has once in a while streamed their events, but not for a while, so I do not expect there will be any. Todd Worth wants to know, Rene said he might go to New York and buy an iPhone and bring it back to Canada. How will he do it if it's locked to AT&T? I would not buy a locked one. I would only buy one if it was unlocked, because AT&T would be expensive to use in Canada. Georgia, B King 29. Any chance Apple will announce something out of this world next week?
Oh, I would love that, but I don't expect so.
Have there been any rumors regarding interplanetary travel?
There have, strangely enough. Just not involving Apple.
Okay.
At Rene, if they have the iPhone taser for the iPhone 5, will we get to tase you live on the iMore show?
One of us will be tased. I promise you that. One of us will be tased.
One of us living in Canada will be tased.
Matthew M. Space. Seth, do you think 5 means iPhone 5 or 5 products?
iPhone 5.
Really?
Yep, really.
All right. I'm just going to switch to the questions on the blog. Georgia, can you keep track of any good ones in the chat room for me?
Okay, the chat room's scrolling pretty fast, but I will try to.
So from Flop Tech, which I believe is an alias for our friend Sock Rollid, at CES this year, 3 companies demonstrated nanotech coatings for waterproofing electronics: Liquipel, HZO, and P2i. Will the iPhone 5 feature any such waterproofing technology? No.
No.
I mean, there's always an off chance. There's like the same off chance as planetary travel.
Took us that long for copy and paste. We're not getting waterproofing.
Yeah, I think we'd hear about Apple buying a company that did it before we do that.
They did it themselves.
Yeah.
And then the testing that it takes to make sure that it doesn't get sticky, the stickiness in between the keys, again, it's not going to happen.
Bornag wants to know from Seth, have we heard anything about AT&T about early upgrades?
I have not heard anything yet, but then again, I haven't really been paying attention to AT&T news.
Every year, it's the same story. The carriers do not say anything. They do not say anything. They do not say anything. They wait as long as they possibly can and then put out as confusing a possible message and tell their own customer service representatives even later than they tell consumers, making sure that no one knows what's happening. So, I mean, it would be nice, but they probably don't care that much about it. I mean, that's more for us. People enter into a contract. It's like having a mortgage. The bank is loath to forgive your mortgage. Carriers are loath to forgive your contracts. So they want you to pay them. They're not interested in early upgrades that much. Anything in the chat room, Georgia?
Yes. When do you think the date for Canada will be?
Well, in 2010, we were wave 2. In 2011, we were wave 1. So it depends on what we are this year. If we're wave 1, it'll be September 21st, along with the US. If we're wave 2, it'll be October 5th, along with some of the rest of the world. We'll have to find out. I hope we're wave 1. I mean, it's really much more convenient for me.
Will T-Mobile ever get the iPhone?
Maybe. Apple so far hasn't made an AWS-compatible iPhone, but T-Mobile is reassigning a lot of spectrum to the 3G bands that Apple supports. But their LTE, I think, is even further behind than Sprint, which is incredibly far behind AT&T, which is incredibly far behind Verizon, and that's the puck that Apple's skating to.
And someone that worked on their retentions line said that is the one greatest make or break factor for being able to keep someone, is that if they say that they would like an iPhone, they let them go. There's No keeping them. No amount of begging or pleasing that will keep
Can't they just give them a
people on.
Samsung phone? They're practically identical.
Or an unlocked. I don't know. Like, again.
Well, they are courting unlock. If you have an unlocked iPhone, T-Mobile is doing everything they can to attract you to their
Yes,
service.
like unlimited data.
Yes,
like
and
truly
family plans.
unlimited data.
Yep.
And a very affordable
I think they give you a pony.
Yep.
Ooh.
Pony.
Pony.
A My Little Pony or like a pony?
An imaginary pony, but it's still a pony. Anything else?
Brad asks, Rene, have you heard any rumors about the iPhone 5 camera?
The iPhone 5 camera is still a mystery, and that was actually going to be one of my questions. Nokia showed off such a good camera. You'd think there are odds that Phil Schiller can get up there and announce a camera just as good as the new PureView one on the Nokia, because Apple, for the last 3 or 4 years, Apple's really been emphasizing the camera, but Nokia really has raised the bar. They had a 41 megapixel camera on one of their phones, which is obscene, like in a photopornographic sense of obscene. I don't know. That's going to be really interesting to see.
And Seth, do you think that the battery life will be along the same lines of what we expect now, or better or worse?
I think given the new chipset, slightly larger screen, and people's general expectations, it'll probably be comparable to the 4S. I would love it to be a little higher, and they might be able to pull that off just because they have a little bit more room for the battery, but I'm betting it'll be comparable.
John Fingus in the chat room is saying that Sony has a new stacked sensor that might have better dynamic range. I'd also like to point out that Apple usually makes the new version of iOS so poor on the battery that you can't actually tell the new battery life of the device, and that gives them a few months to work on it. So I think that's
well, I will give you one more, Rene. Jade asks, will there be a one more thing moment?
We'll save that. We'll save that for future, because that gets into a whole discussion about whether Apple can do a one more thing without Steve Jobs. I would have said that the iPad Mini would have been that, but since they've moved that to October, it kind of takes the pressure off of it. And I don't think the need is there for it anymore. I think they dodged the bullet on that one. They don't have to decide this time. Are we good?
Yeah.
That is it. Let's,
Georgia, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on the website, iMore.com, and also on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB.
Seth Clifford, sir, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter and app.net, Seth Clifford. You can find me here and on Iterate with Rene and Mark. And if you want to see the work we do, nickelfish.com.
And you can find me at Rene Ritchie on Twitter and app.net. You can find me at iMore.com. You can find all of us at iMore. You can email us at podcast@imore.com, or just leave a comment on the show when it goes live. For all of our shows, go to mobilenations.com/shows. And I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. It was fantastic as usual.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will be doing a show live. If all goes according to plan, we'll be doing a show live next week during the Apple event. So make sure you save that date and join us. And we've also, before we go, we started up the Sunday editions. They're not formal shows, but I'm doing one-on-one interviews sometimes. I had Jim Dalrymple on last week, and we might have some more guests this week or next week. So stay tuned. I'll announce those before they go on. How's that?
Perfect.
Very good.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
See ya.